Hello, everyone. I welcome you all to this live session again. So, it's Monday, and let's get all of our spirits up. So, let's learn as much as possible in this week as well. Now, before I start off, I would need a quick confirmation from you folks if you can hear me properly and if you can see my screen. So, if all of you could let me know in the chat if you can see me and if you can hear me properly, that would be amazing. So just put down yes if you can see me and hear me, no if there's an issue with this. So in the meanwhile, what I'll do is I'd introduce you folks to this site called as Great Learning Academy. So Great Learning Academy is an initiative by Great Learning, obviously, and over here you will have a lot of courses pertaining to data science, ML, AI, big data, and a lot more. And once you complete any of these courses, you will get a certificate, and that would be a huge value add to you guys. Now, let's say if you don't have your laptop with you and if you still want to learn, we also have the GLA app. So the Great Learning Academy app, you can go ahead and download it from Play Store. So someone from my team would be putting up links for GLA as well as the Great Learning app in the chat section. Now, on that note, we will start off with today's session. So today we are supposed to learn about Python, and we'll be looking at Python for different job roles. Now, I believe that some of you would know that Python is used for ML, but it is not limited to ML or data science. You can do a lot of other things with Python as well, and that is exactly what we'll be looking at today's scenario. And now, let me just open up the chat and see what are the questions, if there are any questions over here in the chat. And also, folks, I'd want to tell you that I want this session to be very interactive. So if you have any doubts, any queries, any suggestions, please keep putting them up in the chat section and I will take up as many questions as possible. Great. And also I see that there are 48 people watching right now and we've got only 16 likes. So if all of you could go ahead and hit the like button, that would be amazing. If we could quickly hit 50 likes in the next 2 to 3 minutes, that would be awesome. And also to the new folks in our channel, I'd like to tell you that if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please do hit the subscribe button and also please do hit the notification icon. So whenever we are uploading new videos, you will get a notification whenever you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. So that would also encourage us to keep coming up with all of these live sessions on a regular basis. Now, on that note, we will go ahead and start off with the session. Anurag Singh is asking certificate ko kaise verified kare. So what we send you is a genuine certificate from Great Learning. You don't have to verify it from some other place. And also I'd like to remind you folks that the certificates are given to you only when you complete a course on Great Learning Academy. You will not get a certificate for just attending a live session. So these live sessions, even though we do it for free, our aim is to impart as much knowledge to you folks as possible, and we do it for you folks. So let's say if you have any doubts, you can go ahead and ask your doubts right now, right? So you can also take this as a Q&A for your perspective. You have any doubts, any queries, you can go ahead and post them in the chat and I'll try to take up as many questions as possible. Now, I've told you that Python is versatile, and most of you would know that Python can be used for a lot of different purposes. So Python can be used for web development. And now you would have heard of certain web frameworks. So what exactly is a web framework? Well, you don't need to know front-end languages totally, but if you know a web framework such as Django or Flask, you can go ahead and build a website. And what is Django? Django is the most popular web framework in the market right now, and Django is built on top of Python. So with the help of Django, that means with the help of Python, you can do web development. Then we can also do game development. I believe some of you would have heard of this library in Python called as Pygame. So Pygame is one of those libraries which can be used for game development again. Now there is something called as web scraping. So let's say there are obviously a lot of websites all over through internet, and if you don't want to scrape data through any of these websites, well, Python also provides a library for that, and that library is known as Beautiful Soup. So with the help of Beautiful Soup, you can extract textual data or image data or tabular data from any website that is there. So obviously you can't really, so some of the questions which I get when I'm teaching web scraping is, can you hack websites with web scraping? No. Web scraping is only what is publicly available. Right? So if there is any public website and that data is available for access to all of the people, that is the data which you can scrape. Right? Web scraping, some people think that web scraping is equivalent to hacking. No, that is totally wrong. So get this misconception out of your brains. Right, so we've got three of the applications of Python, and then obviously we've got data science. So Python and R are the most widely used languages when it comes to data science, and Python especially is a lot more used when it comes to the field of deep learning and AI. So all of these frameworks such as TensorFlow, Keras, PyTorch, all of these deep learning frameworks have been built on top of Python, and it becomes extremely easy if you know Python to get into the field of data science or AI. And the last but definitely not the least, you can also do backend development. So the SDE roles, software development engineer roles, which are there, for those roles, if Python can be used. But then again, over there, the major idea is for you to have knowledge of data structures and algorithms, and you can go ahead and implement those data structures and algorithms with Python. Right? So since Python is versatile, you can target for any of these job roles that are listed over here. If you want to be a web developer, you can be a web developer if you know Python. If you want to be a game developer, well, that is also possible if you know Python. If you want to get into the field of data science, yes, you can be a data scientist if you know Python. Similarly, if you want to target those general SDE roles in the top MNCs across the world, then yes, Python, yes, will help you to get those SDE roles. So I hope everyone is clear till now. And let me see if there are any more questions. Azhar is asking, how can we use Python for hacking? Well, Azhar, again, I'm telling you folks, when you talk about hacking or ethical hacking per se, you need to have knowledge of networking protocols, and it's mostly related to all of your all of your networking stuff, and so protocols such as HTTP and all of the other stuff over there which are important. Right? A language is just a medium to do something. Epistemophiliac is asking, can we use Python to prepare Android apps? Yes. Now again, most of the people have this misconception that Android apps can be prepared only with Java. No, that is not the case. Android apps can be prepared with a lot of other languages. You might have already heard of Kotlin. So Android apps can be prepared with Kotlin. Apart from Kotlin, you can also prepare Android apps with Python, and you can also use other languages to prepare Android apps. Akhilesh is asking, क्या नॉन आईटी और नॉन मैथमेटिक्स बैकग्राउंड वाले डेटा साइंस से सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट में आ सकते हैं? Absolutely. So Akhilesh, my answer would be, irrespective of whatever your current background is or whatever your current skill sets are, you can get into the field of data science, but you would need to have the will and the zeal to learn. Right? It's as simple as that. So let's say if you're willing to dedicate at least 3 to 4 hours every single day to learn all of the concepts of statistics, mathematics, you'd have to grind yourself every day, right? Now, if you're from a non-mathematics background, topics related to mathematics or topics related to statistics might seem a bit difficult. but if you diligently invest at least 3 to 4 hours every day, that would be fruitful to you, right? Gain knowledge as much as you can. And apart from math and statistics, also focus on programming languages. So you can focus on Python and R. Now, once you're good with either Python or R and you're also good with maths and stats, you can go ahead and learn all of the ML algorithms such as linear regression, logistic regression, and so on. And once you're good with these, go ahead to sites such as Kaggle, go ahead and participate in the competitions which are listed over there. Right, so all of that would help you to increase your skills in the field of data science. And once you think you're good enough, you can go ahead and start applying for any of these data science roles. So I hope that answers your question. All right. So on that note, we will go ahead and look at different applications of Python. So today's session is dedicated to Python for different job roles. And today we are going to look at two different job roles. One would be web development and one would be data science. So I believe these are the most important domains which you can use Python for. As I've told you, we have this web framework called as Django. So we will be implementing a very basic website with Django first, and then we will also be doing some data science applications as well. So let's go ahead and start working with Django. So what I'll do right now is I'll go ahead and create a folder over here. So I'm creating a new folder on my desktop. Let's just call it, let's call it game. I'm creating a folder over here called game. I hit on enter, and this is just a new folder which I've created. Now after this, what I'm doing is I am opening command prompt from over here. Now to work with Django, I'd have to install Django. So I'll just go ahead and write down pip install Django. So this is the command which you can use to install Django, and as you see, requirement already satisfied. So I have already installed Django in my system, so I do not have to reinstall it again. So after installing Django, let me actually check the version of Django which I've installed. So to check the version of Django, I will write down Django admin hyphen version. And you would see that the version of Django is 3.1. So this is the version of Django which I have in my system right now. So I'm not really sure if this is the latest version of Django. So you can just Google and search if what is the latest version of Django. But currently in my system, this is the version of Django which I have. And now, after installing Django, what I want to do is I want to create a very simple project. So to create a Django project, I would have to write this command. I will write down Django admin. Then I need to write start project, and after that I will give in the name of the project. So let me call this project as, let me just call this, let's say Mario, and I'll hit on enter, and you would see that I have been able to create this folder called as Mario over here. So initially I did not have this folder, but as soon as I had written this command over here, I have this folder over here. So let me just open it and let's see what is there inside. So inside the Mario folder, you would see that I have another folder called as Mario, and this has all of these .python files. Let's understand, we'll actually understand about all of these files in a little while. Now going back, we have this another file called as manage. So whenever we want to deploy our website, this is the file which we need. So just understand this till now. Now we have created our website, and if you want to deploy our website or launch our website, this is the file which you would need. So we have created the structure for our project. So our project is called as Mario. Now what I'll do is I'll go to PyCharm. So PyCharm is an IDE for Python, and let me go ahead and open up this. I'll click on open, and over here I have desktop over here. So I would have a folder called as, what was the name of the folder? Game. So probably this would take a while to open. I'll click on open again. So I have this, and what I do actually want to open is I would want this Mario folder. So this is my project and I'd want to open this project in the same window. So let's just wait till this project is being loaded. And it might take a couple of seconds over here. Till then, I'll just go through all of the questions that you've posted over here. So let me open up the chat and see what is given. Suryakant is asking, what is pruning? Well, that's a very interesting question. Now, I'm not sure how many of you have worked with these algorithms called as decision tree or random forest. Now, there is a case called as overfitting. So whenever you are building a huge tree, so what exactly is a tree? A tree has a lot of branches, isn't it? Now, how do you know that my tree has grown to its full length? So sometimes you might just let the tree grow and grow and grow, and it might have a lot of undesirable branches or superfluous branches, or basically branches which are not needed. And the process of cutting down these undesired branches in decision tree or random forest is known as pruning. So basically you are avoiding overfitting with the help of pruning. Now, to people who are new to decision trees and random forests, you do not have to be scared with what I've just said. So this is for just Suryakant who has asked this question, right? So pruning is normally used to avoid overfitting and to cut down the branches when required. Alright, so we have loaded our folder over here, Mario, and as I've told you, let me go ahead and see what are all of the files which are present. So inside this is my major project, and inside this I have another folder called as Mario, and I also have the manage.py file. And inside this subfolder of Mario, I have all of this. Let me go to the settings.py file. So this has all of the settings for my project. So let me scroll down over here. Now you would see that I have this list of installed apps. Now when it comes to a website, you can consider each page in a website as an app. Let's say if you go to Amazon or Flipkart, then the home page will be one app. The page for gadgets will be another app. The page for books will be another app. The page for fashion will be another app, right? So here, let's say if we are adding any of new pages, we have to list all of them over here. Then Django is also a very secure web development framework. So here you see you have middleware features, right? So all of these middleware features are for security of your website. And then we have some fixed templates over here. So these are the fixed templates which you can use for developing our website. If you want to add new templates, that is also something which can be done. Then we have databases. Now, if you're creating a website, you have front end as well as back end. And when we talk about back end, we need to store the data in back end. And if you have to store the data, you would need a database over there. And by default, Django has this database of SQLite. So let's say instead of SQLite, maybe if I want to use some other RDBMS, let's say I'd want to use MySQL or SQL Server or Oracle, I can just go ahead and change the name of engine over here. So you can use whatever engine or whatever RDBMS that we desire or that we are comfortable with. Then we also have all of these password authenticators. Since I've told you, Django is a very secure web development framework. So whenever, let's say, you're creating any login page, all of these are very useful. Right, so this is the settings.py file which we have. Now let's also look at the urls.py file. So now when you go to a website, what do you see at the top? Right, so if I open this website over here, what exactly is this? This is a URL, and each page in a website has a URL. And in this urls.py file which we have over here, we are supposed to list down all of the URLs which are present in our website. So this is a quick intro to to the Django project which we have over here. Now after this, what we are going to do is I'm going to create a home page. And as I've told you, every page in a website is called as an app. So now I am inside this Mario project, and inside this I'd want to create an app. So to create an app, I would have to write down Django admin start app, and let me call this app as, let's call this app as jump. Now let me minimize this. So as you see, now I have this folder of jump inside the main Mario folder. So what exactly is jump? This is a page which I've created, and I'll make this my home page. Now let me extend this app over here, and let me also extend this app. So here you would see that this app does not have the urls.py file, which is a problem because every web page needs to have a URL. So what are we going to do over here? I am going to add a new Python file. So I'll just right click over here. I'll select Python file and I will name this. So let's call this, what shall we call this? Let's just call this urls. And as you see, I have added a new urls.py file. So let's go back to this urls.py file. So this urls.py file is for our main project. Now let's see what exactly is there over here. So here we have something called as URL patterns, which basically has all of the URLs listed. And we have these paths which have been imported. So this is something which I have to import in my other URL file as well. So I'll cut this. I'll go to the urls.py file in my app. So here inside the app, I'll go ahead and print the same thing, which is from django.urls import path. Apart from path, we would also need something else, and that is called as a view. So here I'll write down from all import views. Now we'll understand a bit more about views in a little time. So for now, what have we done? We have created this new file called as urls in our app. We have imported path. We have also imported views. Now, what exactly are views? Well, whenever you would have to transfer the control from one page to another page. So let's say right now I am on my home page, right? So this is the home page over here. And from the home page, let's say I'd want to go to this page of artificial intelligence, right? So as you see, this has a new name altogether. Similarly, let's say if I click on view all live sessions, this again is a new page altogether. So this transfer between pages is facilitated by views. And what exactly are these views? These views, you can consider them to be methods. So I'll go back over here. So here I've listed that from all import views. Now after this, I'd have to write a view over here. So before this, let me actually go ahead and list down the link of this. So I'd have to set URL patterns. Let me cut this from my main project over here. Let me go back to the urls.py file of my app. I'll paste it over here. Let me delete all of this from over here. And when we talk about a home page is normally blank. It is represented by either just a blank or a forward slash. So I'll just keep it as blank over here. And after this, I would have to connect, since I'd have to connect the home page to something else or connect the home page to my main project, I have listed down views.home, and I will give a name to this page. So I'll just call this as home. All of this is set over here. Now you see over here that this is orange colored. Why is that? Because as you see, we cannot find the reference of home in views.py. So even though this views.home we have listed over here, but we have not referenced this in views.py, which is the main file over here. So let me go ahead and create a view. So let me call this as home, and this will take in a parameter. And now as a user, what are you doing? So let's say if this is my main page, from my main page, if I click on this, what am I doing over here? I am sending a request to the server to go to this particular page. So basically the input for this would be equal to the parameter which you see. The parameter should be a request. And once I send a request, once the user sends a request, the server has to respond back. So here I'll just write down HTTP response, and let's say I just want to print out this is Sparta on the page, and you have an error over here. This again has to be capital. Let me make it capital H. We should probably have an error. So here I am importing this. So here, as you see, I have imported HTTP response from Django.http. So again, I will repeat what is happening over here. Now let's say if from here, if I have to go here, I am sending a request and that request has to be responded back. So I'm creating the same thing over here. So this is my home page. So here in urls.py, I am creating a home page. Now, whenever clicks on this home page, what has to happen? Someone has to, so this has to be displayed on the home page, which is equal to this is Sparta. So all of this has been set. We need to do one more thing. So we have created this app over here, but we have not listed down the URL of this app in our main project. So as you see, this is our main project. Inside this, we need to set the path for the URL of our app as well. So I'll again write down path. Inside this, the first will be just left as a blank, and I'd have to include, what do I have to include? It has to be jump.urls. So basically I am including the URLs file from the jump app. And again, we have an error over here because I'd have to import include as well. You would see that we have done everything till now. Now, what else are we supposed to do? Everything is done. So we can just go ahead and actually launch this. So this seems to be okay over here. So let me just go ahead and run this right now. So to run my program, I'd have to write down Python manage.py run server, and let's see what is going to happen right now. So let's just wait. So seems like we have an error over here. It does not match the closing parenthesis. So seems like there is a missing parenthesis somewhere. URL patterns. This is the path, include. So I'd have to actually give one more brace over here. This is what I'd missed out. Now let me clear everything over here, and now we can go to the site. So as you see, we have successfully created our basic website, and when we go to this website, we can have this is Sparta on the screen. So this was an example of Django where we did web development. Now it's time to go to our second application, and before that, again, I'll go ahead and check the chat, see what are you guys exactly saying over here. Parampreet Singh is asking which library is used to make Android apps with Python. Well, I'm not exactly sure, but then again, you can just do a simple Google search. But as I'm telling you folks, so when it comes to Android apps, it's not only Java, but you can use Python, you can use a lot of other languages as well. So yeah, so as Street is saying, Kiwi can be used to develop Android apps from Python. So I myself have never done this using Python. So I also not, that is why I'm not really aware of which which frameworks can be used to develop Android apps with Python. So Darshan is asking, why do we use the from keyword? So from is basically, let's say, whenever we have to import something. So here from Django.contrib, so you can consider contrib to be your package. So from this package, we are importing this module called as admin. So from this, we are importing this. So these are the keywords which we are using over here. Suryakant is asking, can I take a session on supervised and unsupervised learning for all algorithms? Well, you are actually in luck because we would probably be coming up with a data science full course in Hindi, and this data science full course would be around 8 to 9 hours long and would be uploaded in March 1st or 2nd week. So you just have to wait around 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks and you will have your data science full course ready in Hindi. Aman Joshi is asking, if we learn Django, then is it necessary to learn CSS or not? Well, basic knowledge of CSS is definitely required because if you're developing websites, well, you need to have knowledge of the front-end languages, right? So as simple as that. But then again, as you see over here, we don't really need excessive knowledge of CSS and HTML, but basic knowledge of CSS and HTML is definitely helpful. Right. So on that note, we will head on to our second application. So before we go ahead to that, again, I'd request you guys to hit the like button if you haven't yet liked the video. So I see that there are 63 likes right now. If we can quickly hit maybe 80 likes or 85 likes in the next 5 minutes, that would be awesome. And also, if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe and also hit the bell icon. Right, so this would help us a lot, and this would let us know that you are liking our sessions. So please do subscribe and also please do hit the bell icon. Alright, so we are done with the first project. Now second would be, what are we going to do? We are going to do a bit of data analysis. So basically we are looking at two job roles. The first job role was web development. The second job role which we are looking at is data science. And we will be working with this data set called as default. So what we are basically doing is we will be looking at this financial data and we will try to understand if this person will default or not, or if this person is capable of paying back the loan or not. So let me just open up that file over here. This is financial analytics, and let's just wait for this to properly load up. And let me restart this actually, and let me also clear the output so you can't see the output right away. So this will just take a couple of seconds. Let me do this again, restart and clear output. Yes, that is done. So just to give you guys a context, we are working on a financial data set and we would want to understand what is the probability or what are the chances that a customer is not able to pay back the loan which he has taken. So we have all of these libraries. Our first task would be to import all of the required libraries. So I'm hitting on run over here. Let's understand each of these libraries. So we have this library called as NumPy. So NumPy is a library which is normally used for numerical computation. Then we have Matplotlib. So Matplotlib is a library which is used for visualization. Then we have Pandas, which is used for data wrangling. Again, we have Seaborn. So Seaborn is a library which is used for visualization, and this Seaborn library is built on top of the Matplotlib library. Then we have sklearn. Sklearn is a library which is used for machine learning purposes. So these are all of the libraries which we are importing. So we have imported this. Now after this, I'd have to load the file which I'm working with. So to load a CSV file, I have this method called as read_CSV. So read_CSV is a method which is part of the pandas library. So here you would see that I've written import pandas as PD. PD is the alias for pandas, and pandas library has this method called as read underscore CSV. So here I am just using pd.read underscore CSV, and inside this I have passed in the file which I want to work with, and the name of the file is default.csv, and I'm storing the result in default. And I just print out default.head, and you would see that I have all of these columns over here. So I basically have 4 columns: default, student, balance, and income. So this default column would tell me if this person would default or not. So no here would mean that the person will pay back the loan. Yes would mean that the person will not pay back the loan. Then we have student, no and yes. So yes for a student, no for not a student. Then we have balance and income. Income is this person's monthly income, and balance is what is the outstanding balance every month. So let's say for this person the outstanding balance is 729. For this person the outstanding balance is 817. So this is how this record. So these are all of the columns and records which we have in this data frame. Now I want to see how many I want to see the exact number of rows and columns present over here. So for that I can just use the shape method. So when I write down default.shape, this tells me that I have 10,000 rows and 4 columns, right? So I can just use the shape method, and the shape method would give me the number of rows and columns present in this data frame. So again, let me head back to the chat and see if there are any more questions. Azib Sheikh is saying Hindi language. Sure, Azib. So this particular session is in English, but then again we will definitely take your request, and we will conduct probably the same session in Hindi as well, probably next week or next to next week. Utkarsh is asking, BSc Hotel Management can do data science? Yes, absolutely. So I'd actually like to give you guys an example. So one of the professors who taught at Great Learning, he actually did his bachelor's in hotel management. Then he went to the field of data analytics. Then he pursued his master's from a university in Australia. And after that, he is right now working in the field of BI. So you have a very relevant example for you. Right? So even though right now you're in the field of hotel management, you can probably do your master's in the field of analytics, or you can upskill yourself in the field of analytics, and you can definitely switch your job if you're interested over here. So that should never be a problem. Ashish is saying AI complete course in Hindi. Sure, we'll again take down that suggestion. So for now we are working on a complete Hindi course in data science and ML, but a complete Hindi course in AI is also something we are looking forward to do. So maybe again sometime next month, and we can probably work on this. All right. So again we will head back over here. So we have looked at the shape of our data frame. Now I'd also want to understand these numerical columns over here. So I have 2 numerical columns, balance and income. Let me hit on run. So here when I use the describe method, you would see that I have detailed information about both of these columns. So let's say if I want to know what is the minimum outstanding balance by any of the customers over here. So you'd see that the minimum outstanding balance is 0. Similarly, if I'd want to know what is the maximum outstanding balance, here I have the max value. So you see that the maximum outstanding balance is 2,654. Similarly, let's say if I'd want to know what is the average income of all of the people in this data frame, it seems that the average income is 33,516. And what is the minimum income? Well, the minimum income turns out to be 771. And the maximum income anyone has over here seems to be 73,554. So we have used the describe method over here. Now what I'd want to do is I'd want to make a plot for these 2 columns. So I have the balance column over here, I have the income column over here, and I'd want to make a visualization for these two columns. So to make a visualization, I am using, so here as you see, I had imported Seaborn, and I've told you that Seaborn is a library used for visualization, and that is what I'm doing over here. So first I'm setting the figure size. So figure size, I'll set it as 15:5. So basically length is 15, the width or the height is 5. Then I'm making two subplots in the same area. So that is why I'm using plt.subplot. And what am I making over here? I am actually making a box plot. So this is our main command. I'm writing down sns.boxplot, and on the y-axis I am mapping this balance column. Similarly, for my second subplot over here, I am mapping the income column onto the y-axis. Again, let me hit on run. And let's see over here. So here you would see that I have these two box plots. This box plot is for the balance column, and this box plot is for the income column. Now what exactly is a box plot? So box plot gives you a 5-number summary. So this what you see, this would be, so let's actually understand these three over here. Right, so this is known as your 25 percentile, this is known as your 50 percentile, and this is known as your 75 percentile. And the distance between Q3 and Q1, so this is the first quartile, this is the third quartile, and the distance between the third quartile and the first quartile is known as the interquartile range. And these values which you see are the outliers. So what exactly is an outlier? So you actually have a formula for this. So anything which is upwards, so here let's say this is Q3, and now anything which is Q3, so basically 1.5 times of Q3, that would be considered as an outlier. Similarly, anything which is below 1.5 times of Q1, or basically your interquartile range, that would again be your outlier. So this is what these two plots tell us. Let's understand about balance. So from here we can see that the median balance or the median outstanding balance seems to be around 700. Similarly, the average income of these customers seems to be around 33,000. And now these are the plots for both of the categorical values. Similarly, I'd want to make a plot for both of the numerical values. So here you would see that I'm using a count plot. Now, what I'm actually doing over here is, so I'll actually set it opposite. So here balance and income are numerical columns, and now I'd want to make a visualization for both of the categorical columns. So my categorical columns are student and default, and I'd actually want to visualize what are the different levels for both of these categories. So if I want that, I can make a count plot. And again, here what I do is I create two subplots. So the first here, the first count plot is for the student column. The second count plot is for the default column. And now I hit on run, and let's see what do we have. So this subplot which you see is for the student column, and this subplot which you see is for the default column. Now over here it is very evident that out of the 10,000 people, 7,000 are students, 7,000 are actually not students, and 3,000 of them are students. And similarly over here it would seem that out of all of the 10,000 people, more than 9,000 would not default. And it seems that very few people who are actually defaulters, or there are very few people who are not able to pay back the loan. So let me head back to the chat and see if there are any more questions from your side right now. Kaustav is asking if I'm ignoring. Not really, so I'm trying to take up as many questions as possible from you guys over here. So Karthik, if you have a question, please post it over here. I'll take it up. So I'd have to parallelly take up your questions and also keep up with the session, isn't it? So Data Creations is asking, can you make a live class how to get domain knowledge in data science for fresher? Absolutely. So we do conduct a lot of live sessions regularly, and this is actually a good suggestion, and we can do this sometime next week. Ashish is asking how to get an internship in data science. So again, there are two factors over here. So one is getting your resume shortlisted. So in your resume, you'd have to fill all of the relevant keywords. Now, what the HR folks do is, since the HR folks are not the data science people, how they search for data science candidates is they just look for keywords. So let's say if in your resume, if you fill it up with keywords of linear regression, logistic regression, you write down TensorFlow, Keras, then you have a chance of your resume being shortlisted. Now that is only the first part. But when you get to the interview for, let's say if it's an internship or if it's a permanent position, there you need skills which are important. You'd have to be good with maths, you'd have to be good with statistics, you'd have to be good with programming of, let's say, Python or R, and you'd also have to be good at all of the ML algorithms. Siddharth is saying Django is not importable in this environment. So Siddharth should have to import Django first. So just see if you have imported Django properly. Right. So again, let me head back and start off with or continue with our session over here. So we have made these two bar plots over here, and these two bar plots are for the two categorical columns. And now what I'd want to do is I'd actually want to look at the exact values for these two categorical columns. So let's say if I'd want the exact levels for the student column which is present. So default student dot value counts, I'll hit on run, and here you would see that. So 7056 are not students. Out of the 10,000 people which I have, 7056 are not students and 2944 are students. Similarly, I am using the value counts method on top of the default column. So default.value counts, and when I hit on run, you would see that out of the 10,000 records over here, 9,667 are not defaulters and only 333 of them are defaulters. So this would mean that our data is actually very skewed or very imbalanced. What is an imbalanced data set? Well, in an imbalanced data set, you have data points belonging to one category in greater number, and that is what we have over here. So here you'd see out of the 10,000 records, there is a very high imbalance, and that imbalance is skewed towards those people who are not defaulters. So let's say if I am supposed to build a model on top of this, and if I do not properly tune this data, then I will get incorrect results. So that is why I would have to convert my imbalanced data into a balanced data, and that is when I can go ahead and build my models on top of this. So I've looked at the exact number. Now let me also look at the frequency of this. So let's say if I want to find out the frequency or percentage of this. So till here you see that the command is the same. It's just that inside value counts, I set normalize is equal to true for both of these. So normalize is equal to true, normalize is equal to true, and here you'd see that. So those people who are not students is 70.56%, those people who are students is 29.44%. Similarly, over here we see that 96.67% are for people who are not defaulters and 3.33% are defaulters. Now, so till now we have made two graphs, and those graphs have been done for univariate analysis. Now let's also build plots for bivariate analysis. So here I'd be making a box plot between two columns. So I actually have two subplots over here. The first subplot is between the default column and the balance column. So the default column is a categorical variable and I'm mapping this on the x-axis. The balance column is a numerical variable and I'm mapping this on the y-axis. Similarly over here, default is categorical, I'm mapping this on the x-axis. Income is numerical and I'm mapping this on the y-axis. And let me hit on run. And let's see what we have. So here, this is between default and balance. So here it is. If I look at this particular box plot over here, it would seem that, so this box plot indicates all of those people who are defaulters. And it would seem that the median outstanding balance of defaulters is higher than the median outstanding balance of those who are not defaulters. Right, so these are all the defaulters, these are not defaulters. So median outstanding balance of those who default is higher than those who do not default. Similarly, if you look at the income levels seem to be very similar, right? As you see, if you look at these quartiles, if you look at medians, you would see that the medians are pretty similar when it comes to those who default and those who do not default. You can't really say that, let's say, if someone earns a high income, he would pay back the outstanding balance, or let's say if someone earns a less income, you can't really say that he would not be able to pay back the income, right? There is no direct correlation between paying back the amount and earning high, at least from this particular data set which we have over here. Now what I'd want to do is I'd want to make a cross tabulation, and this cross tabulation is for both of our categorical values. So we have two categorical values over here, student and default, and I am making a cross tab between these two columns. So I'd write down pd dot cross tab, and over here my first column is student, the second column is default, and I'll just hit on run. So this is what we have over here. So this what you see is for students, this what you see is for defaulters, and over here this value which you see, this value is, this indicates that this person is not a student and this person will also not default. So those people who are not students and also will not default, they constitute 97%. Now similarly, these are not students and they default. So let's say this, let's call them professionals. So professionals who default is around 3%. Then this is for students. So students who don't default constitute 96%, and students who default constitute 4%. So this is how you'll be able to find insights from this cross tab over here. Now let me go ahead and also make a heat map between balance and income. So balance and income are our numerical columns. Let me quickly make a heat map over here. So this is probably around actually 0.15, and this is around minus 0.15, and there is not much relation between balance and income, which I've actually told you, and which is actually something which we can figure out from this box plot itself. Now I'd want to look at the missing values over here. So default dot is null dot sum. Let me run this. So this would tell me information about all of the null values. So here I have these four columns over here, and you would see that there are no null values present in any of these columns. Alright. So we are left with very less time right now. And what I'll do is I'll probably take a couple of questions from the chat and we can sign off for today's session. So Abhiroop is saying, I'm just a 15-year-old boy and I understood the C++ concept. That is amazing, Abhiroop. And so again, folks, if you find our sessions to be insightful, if you find that our sessions value, they add a value to your learning, please tell to your peers or to your friends about Great Learning and Great Learning Academy, right? Your friends, your peers, your colleagues can also come on to Great Learning Academy and start learning from here. So again, if you do not know what Great Learning Academy is, so this is a free learning initiative by Great Learning where you have all of these courses over here. So you have courses related to data science, ML, cloud computing, and so on. So you can enroll for any of these courses, and once you complete these courses, you'll get a certificate which you can go ahead and add to your resume or LinkedIn page, and that would be a huge value add. Again, let's say if you do not have your desktop with you, you can go ahead and also download our mobile app. So the link for the mobile app would be available to you in the chat. So someone from my team would be putting up the link for that. All right. And also, if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please do hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification icon. Right, folks, I don't see any more questions over here, so probably we can sign off for today. So in today's session, we had looked at two very important applications of Python. So one was web development, another was data science, and we'll be doing a lot more live sessions on the same lines. So thank you very much. And